Welcome to the 6 Miles to Supper podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Cox, and I've lost over 80 pounds with intermittent fasting 6 days a week, eating whatever I wanted at my meals, taking a cheat day every Sunday, and walking 6 miles a day. And I'm here to help you on your weight loss journey. Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to remind you that I do have courses and coaching available. If you are interested in that, you can use the link in the description to go to my Slow and Steady Success Academy. All students inside my courses have access to office hours where you can get your questions answered inside a Zoom call. And if you enroll, you can get 25% off by using the coupon code POD at checkout. In today's episode, we're going to talk about overthinking and why it's not a good thing to do on the weight loss journey and how you can stop it. Overthinking is one of those things that I think some people are just more prone to do, and I happen to be one of those people. I tend to overthink just about everything. There are good things about thinking deeply about a thing, but it really can derail your progress when it comes to weight loss. So the first place that this can creep in is when you set up your goal weight. Back in March of 2014, that was when I had my I've had enough moment. I was so ready to get the weight off, and I was just determined. But it took me almost an entire year to get on the scale and finally come up with a number that I was shooting for. I didn't really know what a good thing to shoot for was. I had always had trouble with my weight. I never was able to keep it off. So I kind of thought, well, I don't know, is the problem that I am getting down to, too low of a weight, and then that's causing me to not be able to maintain it? Should I be shooting for something higher? And so I would just debate these things in my mind constantly. But once I finally got on the scale and I saw the number, I thought, okay, I just need to pick a number and try to get down to it. And I need to stop overthinking it and just, write down a number, pick a number, write it down, and then just go about the business of trying to lose the weight. And that was the right thing to do in hindsight. The key here is that you just pick a number, because once you pick something, even if it's arbitrary, even if you're not really sure that that's going to be the right number, and look, any goal weight that you pick is going to be arbitrary to some extent, and you may not know until you get there whether it's going to be a good goal or not. It's just an educated guess. So because of that, it's better to just go ahead and pick something. Once you've picked it, then you can start moving towards it. When you're not really sure where you want to end up, it's going to be really hard to motivate yourself. To stop overthinking your goal weight, just sit down. If you want to, sit down with a BMI chart. I think that's a great place for people to start. And then just look at what a normal weight range is for you. I would pick something on the high end of normal or the low end of overweight. From what I've, talked with other people and through my own experience, I'll say that's when weight loss seems to be, fairly easy. It doesn't take super good consistency or a lot of restriction. On the other hand, once you get, or at least in my experience, once you get down into the normal BMI, right there at that cusp between overweight and normal BMI, that's when the weight loss really slowed down for me. Up until that point, it was about a pound a week. Once I got down to that point, it was a third of a pound a week. And that was even with really good consistency. So that's some food for thought. So pick a number and go ahead and make a deal with yourself that if you feel comfortable stopping earlier because maybe you just shot too low, that okay, you can stop at a higher number. Or conversely, if you get down to that number and you decide, I still want to lose 5 or 10 more pounds or whatever number, then you can move on from there. But it's important to just pick something and start moving towards it. Think of it as the good enough goal weight, which brings you to the next step in the weight loss journey, which is to pick out your plan. And this is the place where so many people get stuck because of overthinking. They research and research and research, and there's all this conflicting information out there. If you go on YouTube or just, do a Google search, you'll be able to see that there are a million experts out there with a million different opinions about which plan is best. And it can be overwhelming. It can get you stuck in inaction for years. And, this was a big reason in 2014 that I stayed stuck, because I was researching everything and I was so confused about everything. I was just like, like I would read stuff about keto. I would read stuff about veganism. I would read stuff about carnivore. I would read stuff about, like don't eat sugar, or, other people would say, oh, it's fine, like, and counting calories is the way, or you got to cycle your carbs, or, and there's so much information out there. The way to stop overthinking this is to break it down into a really simple equation, which is you need to burn more calories than you're consuming. Now, most people do this through a combination of eating less and moving more. And my own opinion on this is that the most important part is eating less. The moving part, I think, is very helpful for staying encouraged, having your mental state, in a positive place. But as far as just from a perspective of can you lose weight without exercise? Yes, you can. So if the big thing that's messing with you is like you don't like to exercise and you don't know how to get yourself to exercise, then focus 100% on the eating and just don't worry about it, because you can certainly still lose weight. When I look back, I remember I spent days, weeks of just researching all this stuff, just researching it, especially exercise. I was, spending hours and hours at the computer thinking about these things, trying to figure out, like, should it be high intensity exercise, or is it better to do low state cardio, or is it better to lift heavy weights, or is it better to do, more volume of reps, but with less weight, or, like there was so much stuff that I just filled my head with. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there not exercising. And I did this for so long. I mean, I look back and I laugh at myself and I think, what on earth were you thinking? And the same with the plan, the eating plan. I would research and research and research. Meanwhile, I would just be overeating constantly. So by 2015, I was doing more towards trying to, practice intermittent fasting and things like that. I really didn't have a plan yet, though. I was doing a lot of stuff, but no clear plan. Again, because I was just overthinking it. I was constantly reading contradictory evidence and then changing my plan accordingly, and then not really having results and getting frustrated, and then changing the plan, and just in truth, not really having a plan, just trying lots of stuff. One thing that kind of shifted my paradigm a little bit, it kind of helped me to call myself out on what I was doing. I remember I was reading a book, and I think it was Starting Strength by Mark Ripito. But in it, this author said that the way to lose weight, like if you're just wanting to lose weight, he said, eat nothing but chicken breasts for a month and you'll lose 40 pounds. I can't remember the exact quote, but that was the thrust of it. And in that moment, I realized, that's the thing. I'm not trying to just lose weight. That's not what I'm going for. And so I was looking for the wrong thing when I was looking. I was always, looking for the fastest way to lose weight, or the best way to lose weight. But that's not really what I was wanting to do. I realized when I saw that in black and white, oh, this is the way that I could lose weight really fast. I knew, if I do that plan, I will gain it all right back, because there is no way for the rest of my life I can just eat nothing but, chicken breast. And I think it was that moment where I really said to myself, okay, so what I'm actually trying to figure out here is, how do I eat the right amount of food? I'm not really interested in cutting out, different whole food groups and stuff like that. I just want to figure out how to eat. My plan needs to help me learn how to eat the right amount of food. So January of 2016, that's when I finally wrote down an actual plan. And I remember I was just like, okay, it's January. It's time to really knock this thing out. I've got to figure out a plan. And so I did. I sat down and I said, intermittent fasting 6 days a week, cheat day on Sunday, walk 6 miles a day. So I had everything, down on paper. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was committed to doing. And that was my plan. And this is a big part of stopping overthinking, is once you've picked that plan, you commit to it and you just say, I'm doing this. And so I committed to 6 weeks in my mind. Because, when I look back over my history, I realized like I was usually quitting a plan after about a week. I would give it a week and then I would quit. And then, sometimes I'd be with something for longer than that. But generally speaking, I was thinking week to week, not like months of trying something consistently. Now, if you actually commit to a plan, it takes out the overthinking, or it can. Anytime you start overthinking your plan, it means you're not really committed to it. Now, I understand that it's really difficult to commit to a plan when you don't really know if it's going to work. And that's the ththing. Before you've tested a plan, you're not really sure if it's going to work. So it can be hard mentally to truly commit to it. But if you commit to it and you can give yourself an out. What worked for me was to say, okay, I'm going to do this plan and I'm going to try it for 6 weeks. And if during that time I gain 10 pounds, then I will allow myself to quit the plan. And I chose 10 pounds because at that point I was around 205. And I knew that if I gained all the weight back, I would have been really upset with myself and it would have been really hard to like try again. So I thought, okay, 10 pounds, if I gained 10 pounds, that would put me at 215, which means I still would have, lost 7 pounds from my heaviest confirmed weight. And it wouldn't be like completely starting over. So that was enough of a compromise for me to get myself to commit. And what has helped me since then to stay committed to the plan and to try my best not to overthink it is to simply be committed to it and to remind myself if I ever do hear people, and I hear people all the time trying to, convince me that one plan is better than the other, or, oh, you should really be trying to eat this way or whatever. The thing that has helped me is to just remind myself I'm committed to my plan and I know what works for me. I know what I feel best on. And if it works for them, great. But I don't need a plan that's different from what I'm already doing because I'm happy with it. In the end, I just decided, I think humans are really adaptable, that we can survive and thrive on a wide variety of food inputs, so I'm going to just eat what is available to me. I'm going to be grateful for every bite that is put before me. So that helped me to stop overthinking food, and it really improved my relationship with food. I found stopping power once I said, all the foods are allowed and I'm not going to worry about it. And it's just given me a lot of peace. But everybody has to make their own minds up. I would say, just figure out what works for you. Pay attention to how various foods affect you and eat those things that make you feel the best and avoid those things that make you feel the worst and just go based on your own experience. So if however much you're eating is causing the scale to go up, it simply means you're eating too much. So don't overthink it. Don't like get it all in your head that, it means I need to like cut out this or that. It just means you need to eat less. That's all you need to do. There's a lot of different strategies you can use to help yourself eat less. You can cut out snacking. You can cut out distracted eating. You can just make yourself slow down while you're eating. You can eat from a smaller plate. There are plenty of things that you can do to help yourself eat less. So once you have your goal weight and you've got your plan, then it's time to start implementing. And this is yet another place where overthinking can really start to come into play because you're going to be constantly bombarded with information from all different camps about, what you should be doing or what you should not be doing in order to lose weight. If you bring this up with people, you're going to get lots of opinions. You're going to get a lot of advice. And, my personal advice here is that if you don't want that kind of stuff, just don't talk about the fact that you're losing weight, that you're on a plan or anything like that. Just keep it to yourself, and that'll help you to have less advice thrown at you. But even if you tell no one, likely you're going to see it on YouTube or on television. There's going to be, various fad things in the news about, you got to try this diet drug or you got to, do this new exercise. And there's just a lot that can kind of cause you to doubt the thing that you're doing. One thing that really helped me a lot was to go on a low information diet, meaning I just stopped consuming most news. I didn't watch the news anymore. I really limit my YouTube consumption. I avoided it. And really when it came to like all the weight loss things, I completely avoided those. In 2014, 2015, I was going on different websites, that would, talk about different ways to lose weight. There was one blog in particular. This girl had documented her weight loss journey, but she had gained the weight back. And so I was always like looking, watching her story, like, oh, is she going to figure out how to get the weight back off? And I realized that I had to stop looking at all of it. So, when it came to things I was going to watch or things I was going to read or things that I was going to listen to, I just avoided all things diet and exercise related. And instead, I just focused on like motivational things, uplifting things, inspirational things, things that would make my life better and my attitude better. And I'm really glad that I did that. And I told myself, if I ever actually have a problem, then I'll go and try to find the solution. But until such a time, I'm just going to keep it all turned off. So protect your mind, and that includes like turning off things like this podcast, my YouTube channel. If those things end up messing with you and you find that you're not being as consistent, then don't watch it. If something helps you, keep it in your life. But if something is just causing you to overthink things, get it out of your life. The last area that overthinking can creep into is the tracking. So, you've got a plan, you've got a goal, you're implementing, and then you got to be tracking in order to decide, is this plan working, or do you need to implement some changes into your plan so that you lose weight? And so the tracking part is tricky because weight fluctuates. Right now, if you have not weighed and you're trying to lose weight, I would encourage you, go get on the scale right now. Just face reality. I know it's scary, but it's one of the best things you can do on the weight loss journey, because then you'll know exactly where you are and you can start tracking your progress. But just know that weight fluctuates. Some people, their weight fluctuates by 5 pounds within a day. This is why I really like daily weighing and then keeping track of that 7-day average over time, because your weight is going to fluctuate up and down, up and down, up and down. And your cycle, if you're a female, is also going to cause weight fluctuations. Generally speaking, people find their weight is a few pounds higher on their period than it is for the rest of the month. And if you know these things and you can just mentally prepare for the fact that it's not going to be a straight line down, but that you do need to be tracking so that you see what's going on, you're going to have a much easier time. Looking at things on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis, it's really not going to tell you very much. And if you focus on those things, it's going to be really easy to overthink it and to, kind of panic, like, oh, like my weight didn't go down by a pound this week. Does that mean my plan isn't working? Like those types of overthinking instances are going to be very unhelpful. Instead, just detach from that. Look at your 7-day average over 6 weeks of time. Here's a little window into how my mind works, how much I can overthink things and worry about things. So once I started this plan and I was being consistent with it in 2016, the scale started moving down consistently. I mean, it wasn't necessarily every single week it was down exactly 1 pound, but it was consistent enough that I was like, wow, I'm finally losing weight. Do you know what I started to do? I started to worry that I had cancer or some other terrible disease because I was losing weight, because before it had been so difficult to lose weight. And now here I was eating all the food. I was having chocolate cake when I wanted chocolate cake. I wasn't doing anything for exercise except for walking, and I was losing weight. And so I was suddenly worried and I was overthinking. And this is one of those times when you kind of just have to say, okay, what's more likely? Let's try to be rational here. That I suddenly have this terrible disease, or is it perhaps because I finally have picked a plan and have started implementing it consistently? Sometimes you have to just give yourself a little sit down talking to and tell yourself, you're just overthinking it. You need to stop. Which is exactly what I did. So if you are in the habit of overthinking, I hope that this episode has helped you to kind of realize it, kind of see maybe where you're overthinking things. And so hopefully you can use that information and help yourself to stop overthinking in the future. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you want to lose the weight without getting rid of the foods you love and that you'll go back to eating again anyway? My book, The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting, teaches you how to practice intermittent fasting so that you lose the weight sustainably and keep it off for good. You can get the audiobook read by me for free when you sign up for your 30-day trial of Audible. The link is in the show notes. And if you've gotten value from this podcast and you'd like to let other people know about it, it would be great if you could leave a review on either iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks.